education, April 20th, 2026 meeting. Can I get a roll call?
Yes. President Haynes?
Here.
Vice President Sturtsall? Here. Treasurer Stokowski?
Here.
Secretary Zilke is absent with notice. Trustee Robinson?
Here.
And then Trustee Smith-Kaluta is absent with notice, and Trustee Salter.
Here.
Okay.
All right, let's stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First off, the VHS student report.
All right, my name is Sam Michelle. I'm the treasurer of the Brandon High School Student Council.
I'm Brooke Roberts, and I'm the vice president. All right, so what's going on in the high school right now is we had ticket sales going on, and they ended last Wednesday. I believe they were 90 after spring break, but prior to spring break, I think they were 80. And then we had the bridge competition where 2 of our freshman groups placed first, and then all of the advisors did win Advisor of the Year.
Voting was sent out last weekend for the graduation speaker for the seniors. Inclusion week is this week. They were handing out bracelets at lunch. That was great. I saw many kids wearing bracelets in the halls today.
Today was our hat day. We have like a spirit week going on for it. Today was hat day. And then we have fun sock day. We have superhero day. And then dress comfy. And we have Brandon Blackhawk day on Friday.
Some of the sports going on for this spring is boys golf, boys lacrosse, girls lacrosse, girls soccer, girls softball, boys baseball, boys and girls track and field, and girls tennis.
And then for boys lacrosse, they played last week versus Linden, and they did lose. But today they are playing Troy. And for girls lacrosse, they beat Schwartz Creek last week, and they play Holly on Wednesday. Girls soccer beat Waterford Mont on Friday, and they play Goodrich today. Girls softball lost to Linden Thursday, but they are playing Corona tonight. Boys baseball played Goodrich last week and lost, and they play Corona tonight also. And then track and field, they had a meet last week where they placed second, and girls tennis had a bake sale yesterday, and they play tomorrow versus Goodrich.
In student council, the current happenings are officer elections are coming up. This year we're doing something new where we're doing president and vice president elections first, and then maybe if one of those candidates loses, they could reapply for our next round of voting for the treasurer and secretary position in our council.
And then our new officers will be with us, or it might be Cooper, but they'll be with us at the next meeting.
Yes.
We have mental health week prep going on right now. We're ordering a lot of stuff, and they've been having a lot of meetings with Mr. Stevens and some other organizations they're planning on using. And that'll be May 11th through the 14th. And then for our code, if there's a picture up there, it's kind of a new thing we set up as a council. It basically is just like showcasing like some of our awards we've won at our state and regional thing. And then we have like our spirit, like for the spirit trip, we have what place all the grades are in. And we have a little collage of some pictures and stuff we do throughout the council, maybe to like get some new kids interested. And then right now we are working to bond as a council, and we're playing games. We've done kickball, we played capture the flag a couple weeks ago, and then last week we did Family Feud, which was really fun. And we would like the board's approval to go on our senior class trip to Cedar Point.
Senior spirit trip, because the seniors won the spirit trip this year.
Yes.
And
And,
Thank you. years long. All right, next up is superintendent report.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to pass the baton over to Mrs. Daniel, Mrs. Riopel, to discuss our art award winners for the Brandon School District. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Hello, my name is Jody LaFrance Daniels, and I'm the visual fine arts instructor at Brandon Middle School, and my esteemed colleague.
I'm Lily Rifle. I'm the new art teacher at FBH.
So we're here to bring attention to the extremely talented young artists in our classrooms and to show our appreciation for their achievements. I cannot think of a better explanation as to what they have accomplished other than by reading what is on it's too small for you to read, so I'm going to read it. What is written on the poster for the MAEA, Michigan Art Education Association State Art Show. And it says, this exhibition celebrates the strength and vitality of art education across the state of Michigan, showcasing the highest level of achievement from elementary, middle, and high school programs. The works represented here reflect the dedication of educators who foster creativity, critical thinking, and visual literacy while highlighting the power of artistic practice as a tool for exploration, expression, and understanding. Together, these artworks stand as a testament to the essential role of art education in shaping thoughtful, innovative, and engaged learners. Being able to guide these young artists to creative, quality artwork that is recognized as exceptional by our peers is definitely an honor. However, what these artists have achieved this year is truly a level of achievement that our whole district should be extremely proud of. And we're going to present them with their certificates, but you have a few words.
Oh, yeah. Just a couple, I won't be long. So, yes, I'm Willow Rifle. I'm the visual fine arts teacher at Brandon High School, and this is my first year in this role, and I feel truly honored to be part of such a talented and dedicated group of students. I'm very grateful to work alongside Jody, who's been incredibly supportive and helpful this year. I've had the opportunity to watch these students take creative risks, grow in their skills, and really push their ideas. The work being recognized today reflects not just their talent, but their commitment and effort throughout the year. I'm very proud of what they've accomplished and thankful to be part of a district that promotes the arts. Okay, let me see if I can get this.
Yeah.
Does it work? Oh, yeah.
So Lillian Menard made the great achievement of having the top 18 in the, where'd she go? There she is. And so she gets a certificate of excellence for top 18 in the whole state of Michigan. And Callie Payne, first on the list. This is quite an accomplishment. She and Blair, who's next, got Michigan Art Education Association Award. Their artwork is going to be hanging in the Michigan Department of Education for an entire year. And I emailed, that's for Kelly, and this one is for Blair, same thing. The Michigan Art Education Association for the Michigan Department of Education. And for an entire year. They haven't had this award for about 10 years. Not really an explanation as to why, but it's back, and of the 25 artworks that are at this show, we have 2 for the whole state of Michigan. So that's pretty and we have 2 certificates for me for the middle school. Sam couldn't make it tonight, so she's playing tennis outside. But that's her award, top 100, and this is for Riley Sway, who also got top 100 in the whole state of Michigan.
We also had one winner from the high school, and that is Kaylee Harris, and there is her work up there, and so there you go. Great work.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all we know.
That's awesome.
Did you have
Great job.
questions for any of them, or did you have questions for any of them? them, or?
What grade are they in?
Well, well, the 5 of mine are middle school, and, yeah.
11th grade.
Mhm. Yep. And this is the first time that, we're only allowed 5 pieces to enter as members of the MAEA. That's the most we can enter. And this is the first time I have ever had all 5 taken.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great job, baby.
Thank you, artists and your families, for being here this evening. It's lovely to see you. Really appreciate it very much. So excited to see this work and to hear what an impact you're having across other artists who get to see what's displayed across the state of Michigan in a variety of places. A huge thank you to our teachers for inspiring and providing them the opportunity to participate at this level. We really appreciate your dedication and time, and also taking time out to bring them here to highlight them as well. So thank you very much. Nice job, guys. Can't wait to see you next year. All right, at this time, I'd like to switch the baton over to Mrs. Shelby Stewart, who will be sharing some information regarding the Brandon Groveland Food Assistant. It's a mouthful. Say it 3 times quickly. Their annual report.
So my name is Shelby Stewart Sullivan. I'm the vice chair for Brandon Groveland Assistance. And I just wanted to present the board tonight with our annual report for 2025. So over the last year, we were able to support 16 students through skill building and tutoring at Brandon schools, 1 student at the Fuji Camp Convention, 24 at the Fuji Weekly program out at the mobile home park. 6 students we were able to sponsor for Brandon Junior Blackhawks. We had 1 student that was a casework referral to course corrections. We also had 4 students that were a caseworker request for transportation. 1 student for a Brandon Elementary School field trip. We had 52 students receive scholarships for Brandon Recreation. 47 students honored at our annual Youth Recognition Awards night. We had 154 students that received Youth Recognition Award certificates during their school time. 112 students that we sponsored through the Brandon Library for the Steps and Stories program that Brandon does out of the trailer park. 1 student for the writing workshop at the Brandon Library. 3 students that went to Camp Copacabana. 2 students for the 6th grade camp field trip, a Cedar Point field trip, and 1 student for driver's training. So in total, with our scholarships, we have served 426 students over the course of 2025. But in addition, we also introduced SOAR budget grants, which are funded from opioid settlement money from Brandon Township that we wanted to put toward the mental health and well-being of the students in the Brandon School District. So we were able to award 11 grants for the Hawk Time peer program at the high school, the Hawk Camp at Brandon High School, Yoga for Kids at the Brandon Township Public Library, Fuji out at Mobile Home Park, 16 elementary students through Brandon Continuing Education, Stories That Build at Oakwood Elementary, the Peer Buddy program at Oakwood Elementary, the 25-26 program year for 8 scouts in Cub Scout Pack 135. We had a grant go towards the Mental Health Week with NHS at Brandon High School, and an attendance incentive for 25 students to support PBIS at Brandon High School. So we also had 2 ARPA grants through Oakland County, actually 3, because 2 of them were gym basketball, Jones at Harvey Swanson, 1 for the spring and 1 for the fall. And we also had 36 students through Steps and Stories in the summer program when they take them to Meyer to get new school shoes and socks prior to the school year starting. So overall, the grant programs help the schools promote mental health and wellness for 2,990 students. In addition, we have a lot of programs throughout the community that we were able to get involved in. So we supported 6 families at Love and Logic at the Brandon Township Public Library. We also publish monthly articles in the Citizen newspaper to promote the mental health and well-being of the community, and that went out to 10,855 households once a month. We participated in and won the Brandon Township Public Library Brandon Recreation Treats and Trails. I want to thank my dog; she was the favorite. We did a ice cream thank you to students at Harvey Swanson and Oakwood Elementary Student Council and Safety Patrols for their work throughout the year. We sponsored a thank you trip to A&W for base students for all of their work that they have done with us. We raised funds and ran the Jail at Witches Night Out, sold ice cream at Septemberfest. We did a craft station at Christmas in the Village, planted 850 pinwheels and 30 signs for Autism Acceptance and Child Abuse Prevention Month, which are out again, so you can see those. We handed out popsicles at the Ortonville Farmers Market Kids Day and distributed emergency cards at Brandon High School and middle school. So that's everything that we as a board for BGYA, all of us volunteers do. But we also have a caseworker, who you guys may know. She works out of the iTech Center, Tasha Hansen. And in 2025, she had 103 referrals, as well as 124 closures of her cases and an additional 155 calls for additional information or referrals. So it might be things that she's not handling as a caseworker, but she's able to get the information for somebody. So the biggest referral source is the school district, but she also receives referrals from Child Protective Services, Oakland County Prosecutor's Office, parents, police, and the Sixth Circuit Court Intake Department. And those come to us as a way to try and keep those kids out of the court system, so that something that they do as a teenager doesn't affect them for the rest of their lives. And overall, we had 58 male, 54 female referrals, with the majority of those being for school truancy. And I know that through work at Brandon, that number is going down. So we are very happy to try and play a part in that. But I just want to give you guys a 2024 report, or 2025 report. Did you guys have any questions?
No, that is so amazing. I mean, I know that was a lot of information you threw at us, but I mean, we just appreciate that partnership and the support, the numbers of families and the students you helped is, I mean, that's overwhelming. And I know you may have helped that individual, but then it spreads and trickles our family, so.
Well, we appreciate your guys' support as a district, as a board. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, you know, what your support is going towards as well.
Thank you so much. I always said it takes a village to raise a child, and we're very thankful for our village, and Brandon Broken Youth Assistance is an enormous part of our community support, so thank you very much. All right, at this time, she's in the back, I can see where she is. She's hiding. Mrs. Megan Kozlowski is here, our assistant principal to Brandon High School, to share some information regarding their PBIS and halftime work. Thank you, Mrs. Kozlowski.
So bear with me with some of this, because in order to kind of explain what we added to the show, I'm going to go back over some of what has already been done. So it's a little bit familiar Nope. No, you're done, okay. Got this down, so for our halftime, we really, last year and this year, wanted to focus on building more of a community, so kids wanted to be in school, and kind of with the belief that the other goals would follow, the attendance piece, the grades and all that would follow. So that's been our goal. In the past, but whether it be, you know, Mr. Stevens here at Brandon High School, I mean, other districts at the secondary level, PBIS has kind of been challenging to really get, you know, teachers and students to really buy into, because the belief was always kind of, well, they should know this, they're, you know, 16 years old, they should know to come to classes there. And so we really wanted to look at like why it has been a challenge and what we could change to make it more successful here at Brandon. And really
one of the things that we fell back on as a student, in one of his Flint Metro League meetings, had said to Mr. Stevens that we just want to have fun. Still, like, we still just want to have fun. And so we kind of wanted to bring the fun back into school while building the community. And so we formed committees. Last year, we made sure we had counselors, social workers, teachers. We really tried to be represent all different working areas. We made sure we had student input, whether it be through representation with Link Crew and student council, student surveys. And time and time again, it still just kind of came back to that community and culture piece. So that's been the focus the last couple of years. We built on we had Hawk Time from our Hawk traits, and we had developed our matrix to reflect what those look like in the different spaces, but we still really needed to build that community piece and that fun and bring the fun back. And so last year we started with the idea of motivation, morale, and membership. So that was our theme for last year, and really trying to get students to feel connected and feel invested and show up. And through that, we started our draft, which we continued on this year. We built on that this year. So with the idea of the draft was we had this Hawk Time. We wanted students to feel connected and that they had a place where they belonged. And so the first month of the school year last year and this year, we had teachers get to know their students. And then our first half-day PD, they took about 20 minutes worth of time is what is how long it took. But each teacher picked 15 to 20 students they handpicked to be on their Hawk team. So every student was chosen to be on a team. They got a note, welcoming them to the team, saying why. And that allowed us to also not only have that community for students, but also data to kind of help us track that data piece and do different incentives. Shelby mentioned, the attendance incentives, and so we were able to group those students together in that way also. So we built on that this year. We continued that. We continued with our positive postcards and student recognition, and really trying to make it a point for every single student got some sort of recognition at some point during the school year, a positive note home, especially the students that maybe they don't always get that, to make sure that there's feeling that connection. You can see some pictures here. There's a mix of last year and this year with some of the different events and community building and fun that we tried to have with the kids. The Hawk Time assemblies, different recognitions. You can see Mr. Stevens was getting pied by a student down there in the corner. Some fun pictures from different, we got the boats competition with their STEM classes. Some of the positive notes in the hallways, dressing up, different staff pictures. This was from our snowman challenge this year. Again, we're trying to bring the fun back, so we made the announcement to build a snowman challenge. That's Miss Path there, where she kind of cheated. We felt like she had it taped in her bag. So Miss Rapel won the challenge that year, or this year. So our goals for this year, we wanted to continue to build on the community that we had seen such success with last year, and some of the ways that we wanted to do that, continue to have opportunities for staff and students to enjoy time together. We tried to get them out more to a community picnic. I know for me that was one of the things that I remember a lot from high school. Is they'd have an entire school picnic at the end of your senior year. And so we did that in the fall. We're doing this again in the spring, where we have an hour-long lunch and all of the students enjoy lunch together outside of the football field and have different activities to do. Different fun challenges like the snowman. Trying to increase school spirit and increase that empathy and those connections and being comfortable having those uncomfortable conversations. And so that led us to our theme for this year, which is find your place and feel your purpose. Really, again, building on students feeling connected, and if you feel connected and feel like you have your people or you have your place, feeling more confident and speaking out and saying what you believe. So that was our theme for this year. And again, we kind of tried to think back to what was memorable for us in school, whether it was teachers, moments, different events and things, and really having people go the extra mile, feel like they cared, having connections with other students, older students. And so that brought us to some of our goals for this year. We wanted to continue to build on our student advisory committee. We started that last year, kind of in the middle of the school year. We wanted to do more work with that and have that group be more connected with our Link Crew and our student council and those other groups. And so this year, their project for this year is that they want to build a news nook, is what they're calling it. And so they're in the process of putting that together outside the cafeteria right now. Kind of the way that they've described it for me, it reminds me of college, like back in the, the olden days in college where you had the little board, like, I'm going home to Brandon this week and let me know if you want a ride sort of thing, where it's like upcoming events, who's going, that sort of thing, to keep students kind of connected in that way. We started with third grade visits this past December before Christmas break, because that was one of the other pieces, is wanting there to be some more connection between buildings. And so our third graders visited the high school. This is the copy of the schedule. They had about 25 minutes or so in each class with our electives as the focus, and so there's some pictures I'll show. You can see here they're in the wood shop building, they built Christmas trees in the wood shop. Here's some other pictures. They were learning how to sign jingle bells with ASL. They were putting on a podcast here with our broadcasting kids, doing a commercial with the green screen. You can kind of see they had a robot that they were programming to go off a ramp. So just to kind of get the kids excited about high school and what school will eventually, what they're working towards, and also build those connections. And it was an extremely positive experience for both the high schoolers and the elementary. They both could wait, they wanted to do it again. That was the feedback from both the high school teachers and students and the elementary. And so we're planning another one. The tentative date is June 2nd. I just actually finished the schedule for the day for that. But this time it says third grade on there. It's going to be with Harvey's second graders, Oakwood's fourth graders are going to be coming. So we'll have 6 classes of kids coming to the high school. So June 2nd is the next date for that. And then the other piece in terms of building on those connections between buildings is a mentorship program. So we just started that. I wanted to kind of intentionally keep it small to start, to kind of get our feet under us and work out any kinks that we might have to work out. So these are some pictures from the first meetup that they had back in March, on March 18th. So the girls are doing some crafts in the gym there, Harvey Swanson. That gym, sorry, the cafeteria. And then Oakwood's gym over there, they're playing, they played some basketball, and I think some 500 maybe was going on at that time. And we've got some oobleck. It was a little messier than we had anticipated. But they had a lot of fun making oobleck. And with the mentorship program, some of the things, like we took a lot of feedback from the high school students and teachers. And so for the mentors, that's application-based. Students have to apply to get in. We wanted to try to keep it to upperclassmen because one of the key pieces to it is they wanted it to be, it's completely on their free time. It's not during the school day. It's not like they get out at 6th hour. It's after school, it's at 2:30, so they needed to be able to provide their own transportation. And that was also intentional because we wanted it to be during the elementary school day, but after the high school day. For the mentees, we have those students. It was initiated by school personnel because my son, for example, like he did a mentorship program and it was fantastic, like in 6th grade for him. But it was really hard for me as a parent. I had to do this really long, complicated application for him. I had to get him places on the weekend. And so we wanted to, I feel like that can be a barrier for some students who maybe could benefit a lot from being involved in those programs. We wanted to take the onus off the parents and just kind of put it on us. So the school personnel initiates it for whatever reason. They think the student might benefit from having that connection. We wanted the meetings to happen during the school day so that transportation wasn't a limiting factor. They could hop on the bus home like they normally would. And we had them complete an interest inventory and then kind of tried to match the mentors and mentees up as best we could based off of some common interests. So their first meetup was March 18th. They've got the next one scheduled is, we're doing it April 30th and then May 14th. I don't know if we're going to be able to squeeze a 4th one in there. I was hoping to get 4 in, but I don't think it's going to happen just with timing and seniors and stuff. Shelby mentioned some of the connections. We've continued to build on that to try and help. Tasha is a part of our PBIS group, so is Courtney McLaren. So we meet monthly to kind of plan those activities and lessons. EGY is sponsored. They've been very generous, and they've helped us with our halftime field trip and with the and different incentives and attendance incentives. Right now, we're going for the fewest 6th period absences for the month of April. That hawk team will get a prize. And we've got Inclusion Week this week, as the students mentioned. I've got my bracelets on there, passing out bracelets and pins. And we've got our hawk lesson on Wednesday. Is our ASL class designs it. They kind of planned the lesson around the deaf community. There's a school-wide Kahoot they're going to do. And there's going to be some, just like an informative video too about inclusion. So really quick, some of this data is from last year, and then I do have some more recent data, because obviously this year's not done yet, so I couldn't get that all compiled. But we saw last year, we saw improvements, as like we were hoping, if the community, and it was a more positive culture, that we would see improvements in attendance and the failure rate and discipline. And we saw that across the board last year. And I'm kind of talking a lot, so I'm trying to get through this really fast. So you can see we had 100 less detentions, 92 less Saturday detentions on average by the end of the school year last year as compared to the prior year. It was about 2 fewer missed classes, or days of school per student on average. So we saw really good improvement, and while it was awesome to see that improvement, it was also kind of like, okay, how do we go up from there? Because it was, we were really, really happy with it. So this year, as far as the attendance piece goes, again, the year is not concluded, so I don't have all the final data yet. However, when I look at students who at this point last year were at 20 or more absences, last year we had 26 students at this time, this year we're at 22. So I don't have the final figures yet, but there are fewer students that are really reaching that truancy level, because 20 absences is when they would consider it truant. So we're doing better there. Overall, our discipline data is up, but if you really break it down and look down, we've been focusing on our freshman class with some of our lessons and things that we're trying to focus on. In the month of March, we finally saw a shift where our average discipline referrals went down a little bit when you compare March of this year with March of last year. So we were really happy to see that. And when you look at the cohorts and kind of follow like last year's 8th graders and where they were at this point, with now as 9th graders, when you follow the cohorts through, every cohort has gone down with discipline referrals. So even though we're up total, I think some of that is because we've been really good with the reporting too, because the main area where we're up is tardies. Because we've been all over that, trying to tackle that. And we also, so far at this point this year, we're down over 39 days of school, fewer days of school, and that's due to suspension when compared to last year. So it's moving in the right direction. So, kind of continuing, I already talked about a lot of this, but our goals for this year is more opportunity to celebrate, more connection between buildings, and I've been working with Jen Poston in Oakland Schools to try and build a way to track engagement as far as attendance to different school events. That's been more challenging than I thought. It sounded really easy. I didn't realize they'd never really done it before, so Oakland Schools is kind of like, oh great, you guys are our guinea pigs. And so I've been trying to get that started and going, and we're getting a feel for it. I just met with Jesse and the secretary the other day so that they can get their game managers trained on it, so that we can start to have it at more athletic functions, and just really start to slowly make that the norm where students will swipe in, so we can start to capture their attendance and hopefully set some goals. Okay. Sorry, I talked a mile a minute.
Do you mind sending back a couple of slides for me? We always talk about, culture, and at some point this is going to help with achievement. Can you go back one more? Can you talk about those little numbers there in the bottom, on the bottom right?
The student academic success?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we based that off of E's, with the percentage of grades that were issued that were E's. And so when you look at quarter 3 of the 23-24 school year, 6.78% of grades issued for quarter 3 were E. When you compare that to quarter 3 of this last year, that was down to 2.96%. So we saw a big decrease. Grades were just due this past Wednesday, so I have not had a chance to look at that to compare. That's why that figure's not up there. Most of the figures that I was able to pull were either from through semester 1, or some of the discipline data is easier to pull. But to really look at and dig down at the attendance data, it takes a little, in the grade, it takes a little longer. So.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kozlowski. That was a really fantastic presentation. Appreciate your time in putting it together. And all the work behind the scenes that you do that you don't always like to take credit for, but we appreciate you and all of that magic. I know Mrs. Rawling isn't here because it's not her style to take credit for anything, but she is our STEM teacher at Brandon High School, and she is the one that coaches our children, getting them ready for the bridge competition. We participate in the annual It's an MDOT competition. This is the first time that we've had 2 freshman teams score 1 and 2 in a statewide event. And she puts her heart and soul in getting our kids prepared and ready to go. And they do the rest because they're wonderful. And so just really appreciative of Mrs. Rawlings, super proud of the children who have participated. They will now travel to national competition to see how they fare with students across the country. I have a feeling they're going to do pretty well. And just really proud of our Blackhawks. So I just wanted to shout out to that program, Mrs. Rawlings, and those children. So thank you.
Can I add on to that real quick?
Yeah.
So some students won scholarships to a summer camp at Michigan Tech through that too, and those scholarships are valued at over like $1,000. So these summer camps are pretty awesome. And then I know it was mentioned earlier too that our teachers and staff won awards as well. And I think that's it. Yeah, Mrs. Stone said everything else, but we are going to hear more about this in the near future. So.
All right, awesome. Okay, next is approval of consent agenda.
Move that the Brandon Board of Education approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Any discussion? Can I get a roll call vote?
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart-Teller, yes. Trustee Stokowski?
Yes.
Trustee Salter?
Yes.
Trustee President Haynes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, motion passes. Next up is information and discussion items. Board report. We have one today. And then education report.
This is the one that's in the.
Hello everyone, good evening. I'm glad to be here to do a teaching overview update for today. And tonight we are here, the purpose this evening is to share a couple of different topics. They do kind of go hand in hand, but a little bit more indirectly, I guess you could say. I'm here to really share about an overview of PA 146, the current components of that law and how they're being addressed in our district right now as we speak. A little bit of foreshadowing on upcoming components that we'll be covering of PA 146. And then we'll switch gears a little bit to talk about social studies resources for K-5 and hopefully be able to adopt a resource at the start of next school year. So as I said, we'll start with an overview of PA 146. So what is PA 146 and what impact is it having on our lives? So PA 146 is known as the K-12 Literacy and Dyslexia Law. It is a revision of that K-3 read by grade 3 law that has been impacting us since really 2019 in some way, shape, or form. PA 146 maintains a lot of what the read by grade 3 law had, especially when it comes to improving early literacy instruction. It also adds on improving literacy outcomes for all students beyond our K-3 population, and really looking at all students K-12, making sure that they are getting outstanding literacy outcomes and really helping us to recognize the characteristics of dyslexia. So I think it's really important also to note that while we're going to be recognizing the characteristics and responding to them of dyslexia, it is in no way asking for public educators or any educators to diagnose dyslexia or have any kind of impact in that way, but rather just to be able to notice if students are showing kinds of symptoms or signs, and maybe their learning and their literacy development is slowed, in order to be able to have training, resources, and assessments that help us to respond to those signs that we're seeing. I just thought that was important to clarify. So when you look at that law, it's kind of big, and there are 6 main key components that helps us to kind of digest what the law is asking us to do. So this visual I find really helpful, so I thought I would share it with all of you. The main 6 components of PA 146 are assessments, curricular resources, multi-tiered systems of support, or MTSS, literacy coaching, professional learning, and then our English learners are also a part of that law and what we're going to be doing in response to it. So tonight I'm going to share with you the things that we're engaged in right now in this moment, which are 3 of these: assessments, curricular resources, and professional learning, and kind of foreshadow for you a little bit about multi-tiered systems of support, literacy coaching, and English learners, and how we'll be responding to those components in the near future. They do cross over a lot, so it's not like we're going to handle this bucket and then we're not going to get to that later. They do cross over, but for tonight's purposes, it was helpful to separate all the components out. So looking at what we're doing right now, the components of PA 146 that are the most outstanding for us are the curricular resources and the assessments, and they are also the 2 that are most clearly defined by MDE. They have really been driven by a list of approved materials for both of those. They're giving us a lot of guidance on those 2 components. When I get down to professional learning, that's where the kind of wild, wild west happens. It's not as defined, it's left up to each district to determine, which is also okay. It's good to have some room to move and to pick some things that fit with our school district and our teachers and our staff. But getting back to what we've been told we need to do, and with more guidance, are the curricular resources, and we'll start there. So right now the law is asking us to, as school districts in Michigan, to adopt K-5 evidence-based Tier 1 resources off of the MDE approved list that they've provided for us. They've provided that list initially. They're going to be revising the list and adding more resources in June, coming up, and then again in December. The December date probably is going to be pretty late in the game because we have to have all of these things implemented by the start of the 27-28 school year. So you can see how MDE is asking us to do these things and kind of rolling things out at their own pace, which is making it really interesting to say the least. But right now what we're doing is kind of addressing it as we go, but we're ahead of the game a little bit. As you remember last year, we were really pretty confident, which ended up being the right move to make, that our phonics programming resource that we were investigating last year was going to be approved. And so we went ahead and piloted, as you remember, the 95% group phonics core program. It did indeed end up on that list, and so we were able to implement that fully this year. So that was a great thing, because now we've got a whole year of that being fully implemented. We'll be able to collect that data this year and to see where we are with that. But that resource only really covers the foundational learning for being a reader, the phonics, the phonemic awareness, and that type of, or that part of the reading process. And so now we have moved on to the next component, which is to review comprehensive ELA resources. And as you can see, the law says we do that for K-5, but we've extended that for a variety of reasons to include K-8. So our comprehensive resource review to implement a full resource for our teachers and students will not stop at grade 5, but we're also looking at something for 6-8. So right now we're narrowing the field in order to prepare to do a resource review fully during the 26-27 school year of no fewer than 2 resources is our goal, so that we can then adopt a K-8 comprehensive ELA resource starting in the fall of 2027. Moving on to assessments, the law is asking us to select valid and reliable screening and progress monitoring assessments. And they've provided us an MDE approved list for that as well, a list of 2 we got in January. Although they have since then added another resource to that list. Again, they'll be adding, we hope or think, in June and again in December. But right now, we've got a team that went to Oakland schools last week to hear presentations by all of the publishers of the 3 screening tools that are approved, to bring back to our district to have a conversation with the wider team to decide which of those resources will be a better fit for us and the resources that we currently use and the ones that we're looking at using, so that we can make an informed decision about which of those tools will best suit our needs. So currently, like I said, our team is reviewing them. We are planning on narrowing that probably to 1 or 2 of the 3 to then try to pilot during the 26-27 school year. That plan is for all K-3 students, and this isn't our plan, this is part of the law. All K-3 students will need to be screened 3 times each year. 4th through 12th grade students will not need to be screened regularly like that, but we will need to be responsive to what we notice. And if we see signs of dyslexia, then we will be screening them if they are identified to have an indicator of dyslexia. So K-3, everyone, 4-12 as needed. That's also a problem because the screening tools for the 4-12 population is one of those things that isn't as solid as the K-3 world. And then we will adopt that screening tool as the law is asking us to by August of 2027 so that we can fully implement in the 27-28 school year. And then lastly, the current focus is on professional learning and planning for next year. The law is asking that we provide professional learning for all literacy personnel, but we are starting off with K-12 overview training for our whole staff so that we all have the same foundational understanding of what PA 146 is and what the characteristics of dyslexia are, because even if you're not a direct teacher of reading, if you're a math teacher, you could maybe be that person that recognizes some of those signs. And then specialized training will be for our teachers who directly teach reading, which is something we're still determining, especially at the secondary level. Who might those people be? It's a little bit more gray, I guess, when you look at the secondary population. So those are the 3 areas that we are really focusing on right now and here and now. Now looking ahead, focusing in the near future is the literacy coaching component. Currently we've got an elementary coaching situation going on in literacy. This law is asking that we also include literacy coaching for secondary folks as well. So that's going to be something that we grow. We're still trying to determine what that looks like. It also is not clearly defined by NDE, just that we have to do it. So we do have some, I guess, some freedom there to make that role suit our needs and address what we need that person to address. So we're working right now on developing what is our model for that position going to look like. The MTSS component is asking that we use approved and evidence-based universal screeners, so that kind of, you can see how I said it kind of overlap, goes back to that assessment piece that we're looking at now. We have to use those universal screeners for K-3 students and 4-12 students as needed. And then we have to develop those individualized reading intervention plans. And sure, over the years, if you've been here for a bit, you've heard of the IRIPs. And that was something that came from the grade 5, grade 3 initial version of the law that said we needed to create individualized reading intervention plans for our students K-3 who were not reading at grade level. In Brandon, we've always gone beyond grade 3, and we've written those for 4 and 5 as well. We call those the RIPs, just reading intervention plans, just to distinguish what the law was asking us to do and what we were just determining to do on our own. So now the law is saying that we need to do that for 6 through 12 as well, as needed. So that's a new thing for us, that we'll be extending all the way up through 12th grade. And it also asks that we implement a robust MTSS system K-12. We do have an MTSS system K-12, but we are in the process of reviewing it and revising it and getting a team together to do some big work around our MTSS process and really look at PA 146 and specifically what is it asking us to do in order to fine-tune our MTSS system in some places and perhaps even overhaul a lot of it in some other places. And then lastly, but not least, our English learners. The big focus of PA 146 when it comes to our English learners is really helping our staff to distinguish between what are the characteristics of dyslexia that you might be seeing versus what are just the normal, natural processes of a student as they are working to develop a new language or to acquire a new language, and being able to differentiate between them so that we are responding when we need to with reading and literacy instruction versus we're not really needing to do that, but just letting a child have a little bit more space to go through that natural process of acquiring a new language. And wondering what that looks like and how to kind of like differentiate between them. So that's the PA 146 overview. We'll be talking more about that as we go. We have a lot more to discuss before we launch into a lot of our new stuff in the 2017 school year. And now I'm going to shift gears to the K-5 social studies resource that I'm here to talk about tonight. So I've got some samples out there for you. And if you remember Scholastic News or Time for Kids, it's a little bit of nostalgia in front of you maybe. But we have been in need of a social studies resource, especially for our K-5 population, for quite a while. And this is one we've landed on to hopefully implement starting in the 26-27 school year. So I've got one in front of me. It, like I said, really harkens back to Scholastic News. We love that there's a printed version and there are also online supports. So there's more than just reading this one newspaper to be done. It's a series of activities that you can spread throughout the full week. So this is intended to be used as a resource for 1 week worth of instruction there. But it also has flexibility for the teacher to scale that back or even push it forward longer. So let's take a peek at the K-5 Social Studies Resource Studies Weekly and how we got here and what we're asking. So the rationale for adding right now a K-5 social studies resource, the first one I think is pretty compelling because currently we just don't have one for grades K through 5. Our teachers are teaching the standards, but they're really relying on their own, searching and creation of activities and finding things to teach those standards. So to get a resource and fill a hole in which there are none is one main reason. Also, the state data coming out of when our fifth graders take that social studies step for the first time really indicates that perhaps having a uniform resource or something that's consistent might be a step in the right direction of helping to shore some of that up and to see some more positive results when it comes to our data. And then last, it offers opportunity to add more nonfiction reading material to our K-5 population. Oftentimes, that is an area that is really underrepresented when we're talking about K-5 reading and writing. Our K-5 teachers and students do a lot with fiction and narrative text, but not often are they accessing nonfiction as much. So it offers another opportunity for more reading and writing and working within that kind of reading material. Not only that, but it offers itself to cross-curricular use. There's charts and graphs for math, and it really could, reach into just about any area of the curriculum K-5. So why have we chosen Studies Weekly? There are a few things we really like about it. Number one is that it is aligned with the standards, and it provides that coherent and consistent resource across all grades K-5 that we talked about. It's Michigan-centered. You can see on the copy that we have that every issue says Michigan across the top, and they've taken care to make sure that it's all relevant to kids. They're very, egocentric, right? And their little worlds are smaller than ours, so keeping things focused on what they know and not so much talking about areas far away from them is really important for this age group, so that it's Michigan-based is really important. We've talked about this before too, being an inquiry base. I have in my hand week 1 of 3rd grade, and then you've got weeks 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that first 5 weeks, the teachers chose to use this in that sequential order, is all about learning about what is inquiry. And every grade level starts like that. So it really encourages students to keep that curiosity, to learn how to ask good questions and how to research and find their own answers. How to be resilient learners, right? And so that's something that is really attractive to us, and that it really goes through teaching kids how to build that skill set, which will then reach into every area of their lives and their academic careers going forward. It expands the instructional resources for ELA. The publishers will take Studies Weekly and our ELA curriculum resource that we end up choosing and they will crosswalk them for us, so that if I'm a teacher that needs more nonfiction text during a unit, they'll say, you know, if you're doing Unit 2, Lesson 1 of your ELA resource, week 19 will really go nicely with that, so that you can go out of order and pair them with something that you're teaching in ELA that really complements what you're doing with your students on ELA. And lastly, we love that it's a blend of consumable print material and digital resources, and it's not fully digital. There's a lot of really good hands-on work to be done with this resource. So those are all of our whys. And so in summary, just to reassure all of you that PA 146 compliance work is underway. We've got a lot of irons in the fire in those first 3 components, and we're planning forward for the next 3 to address them. And then we're recommending that we adopt the Studies Weekly as a King 5 social studies resource. We are hoping to get approval tonight so that we can move forward with that, so that we can training for our teachers and really get this launched, so that in the fall of 2026, all of our teachers have this in their hands and ready to roll with their students. And that is that tonight. So if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
I do have a quick question.
Sure.
So the consumables that pretty much take the place of the textbook. Okay. And then will we purchase the consumables like yearly?
They'll get this whole set every year.
Yeah, okay.
They did say that they do make some revisions here and there, but primarily it's mostly the same. They don't really update, they said, for the current events very regularly with it. I think it's a big event. The Flint water crisis is in some of these. So some of those bigger events that occur on our area that are something we can use the illustrator point that'll add to it. But yeah, they'll get this full set every single year. Any other questions? No? Thanks for your attention.
Thanks for.
Thank you.
All right, next up is action items. HR report.
Move the Brandon Board of Education approve the Human Resources report as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I get a roll call vote?
Yes, trustee Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Stokes Holland, yes. Treasurer Stokowski.
Yes.
Trustee Salter,
Yes.
President Haynes.
Yes. Motion passes. 2026 DHS Cedar Point field trip.
Move the Brandon Board of Education approve the 2026 Brandon High School Cedar Point field trip as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I get a roll call vote?
Trustee Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Stokes Holland, yes. Treasurer Stokowski.
Yes.
Trustee Salter.
Yes.
And then President Haynes.
Yes. Motion passes. OS FY27 budget resolution.
Move that the Brandon Board of Education approve the OS FY27 budget resolution as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just, I just was gonna say that it's Oakland Schools.
Yes, thank you. Roll call vote, sorry.
That's okay. Trustee Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Stokes Holland, yes. Treasurer Stokowski,
Yes.
and Trustee Salter,
Yes.
and President Haynes.
Yes. Motion passes. Elementary social studies weekly approval.
Move the Brandon Board of Education approve the Michigan Studies Weekly Elementary Social Studies Edition as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
They're gonna be interpreted.
Heard. Any discussion? Can I get a roll call vote?
Trustee Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Stokes Holland, yes. Treasurer Stokowski,
Yes.
Trustee Salter.
Yes.
President Haynes.
Yes. Motion passes. RFP badge system.
Move that the Brandon Board of Education approve the RFP for a BHS badge system as presented.
Support. Any discussion? Can I get a roll call vote?
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Vice President Sirski? Yes. Treasurer Stokowski?
Yes.
Trustee Salter?
Yes.
President Haynes?
Yes. Motion passes. Any citizen information? All right. Then that concludes our meeting, 8:30. 7:30.